I have this small closet in the hallway that I thought would be fun to leave as an open space rather than enclosing it with a really tight, cramped door. I went to Lowe's and purchased several long pieces of 1x2s. Once I got these home, I stained them to the color of my choice. I made sure to stain the front and also the sides. My closet is about 16.5 inches in depth, so I cut my pieces down to 16 inches. Once they were cut, I made sure to stain the fronts of them as well, since these would be visible from the hallway once the pieces were installed. Starting from the top of my closet, I attached the wood pieces using a nail gun. I simply added a 1x2 piece with the flat edge down, then used another piece as a spacer and installed the second piece underneath. I repeated this process, going down along the closet wall. I did make sure to stop a few times just to make sure that everything was level and that I hadn't gotten crooked along the way. Once I was done with that side, it was time to start on the other wall. Of course, you want to make sure that the wooden pieces are lining up on both sides so that any future shelving doesn't come out crooked. I simply used a wood board and lined a level up along it to make sure that it was level. Once that was done, I installed my wood pieces along that side wall as well. The next step was to add my shelving. I purchased 3/4 inch wood and stained this to match. I cut it to the exact dimensions I needed for my closet. Now I was able to slide the shelving in place. The great thing about this is I can easily move the shelving to whatever height I need. There's so many different options because I can use any single one of these side wood pieces as a different resting place for my shelf. I love the way this open closet looks, and the repositionable shelving makes it really practical and functional. I didn't want to pay for new wood shelves, so I decided to create something of my own. I purchased some sheets of plywood from the hardware store. They cost under $8 a piece. I cut my plywood to the size of the shelving as it existed in the pantry. Once I had the plywood pieces cut, I cut the 1x3s to the correct length. After that, I just added the plywood on top of the 1x3 and I used a nail gun to secure it in place. I set my wire shelving back in place and then added the new wood covering right on top of that. Once I had them all in, they looked great, but I definitely wanted to stain them to make them a little bit of a darker, richer color. I would recommend taking the shelving out and staining it somewhere outside, but I ended up just staining mine right in place.
Grab some 2x2s to increase your bathroom storage in a few easy steps. I cut 4 2x2s to 6 feet each and cut 6 to 19 inches, and I cut another 6 to 4 inches each. I sanded all the boards, then used my Craig jig to drill pocket holes in each side of the smallest 2x2. I secured the 4-inch boards to the 19-inch boards with pocket screws and wood glue to make a rectangle. I repeated this 2 more times to end up with 3 rectangles. I marked down 2 inches from the top of each 6-foot 2x2 and used a countersink bit to pre-drill the long 2x2 to the rectangle frame. I filled the screw holes with wood filler on the front side only and sanded the excess off smooth once dry. I wiped, cleaned, and painted the frame with Benjamin Moore color wrought iron. While that was drying, I sanded cedar 1x6 boards, ripped them down to size, and sealed them with 2 coats of polyurethane. I used a brad nailer to secure the cedar boards to the top of each rectangle base and slid the shelf over my toilet for the most modern functional bathroom storage. I absolutely love how this turned out, and it can be completely customized for your bathroom. I hope this inspired you to create your own beautiful storage for over the toilet. Thanks for watching Home Talk, and see you next time.
I've had an old shutter hanging around for a while now, and I finally found the perfect project for it. To start this project, I need to level out the back of the shutter. I want to add some spindles to it, and right now there's this little ridge that I want to make even. These little thin tongue depressors should do the trick and fill in the space so that it's all level. To keep them securely in place, I want to cover one side with wood glue and then lay them onto the shutter. While that shutter glue is drying, I want to go ahead and start painting these 4 vintage spindles I had. I don't mind if the paint's a little thin in some areas, as I want it to look a little bit worn and aged. Now that the shutter's ready to work with, I want to give the pieces I just glued on a quick sanding to make sure there are no uneven or high spots. It's time to paint the shutter now, and I'm going to use the same paint I did with the spindles. Like the spindles, I'm not worried about covering the entire shutter. I'm okay with little bits of the wood peeking through here and there. With the shutter completely painted, I'm ready to attach the spindles to it. I'm using a high tack wood glue so that they stay in place quickly and securely while the glue is drying. This little table is perfect at the end of my couch, and I love when I can repurpose old items to make something new. I hope this has inspired you to make something out of your old shutters as well. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Home Talk. I'll see you next time. The next time you're at the dollar store, grab some of these extra large craft sticks. They're perfect for this project. To make the sticks extra durable, I'm going to glue 2 of them together. I want to make little sets. I'm going to use some fast tack wood glue and smear it between the sticks, making sure to put the glue all the way to the edges. I'm going to glue together 10 sets and then leave them to dry overnight. To make sure they stay flat and tight together, I'm going to place some paint onto them that'll weigh them down while they're drying. My sticks are all stuck together now and the glue is nice and dry, so I want to take a piece of sandpaper and just give them a quick sand to smooth out the edges and remove any excess glue. With the sticks all sanded, I'm now going to paint them. I'm going to use this pale, beautiful sage color that goes with my decor. I'm going to go ahead and finish sanding and painting the rest of the sticks, and then we can move on to the next step. Now that all of my sticks are ready to go, it's time to add the ribbon that's going to hold them all together. I chose this nice, thick chocolate brown ribbon, and I want to line up all the sticks so they're in a very straight line. I need to cut 2 pieces that are the same length, and I want them to be a little bit longer than my row of sticks. The ribbon will work best if it's attached close to the ends of the sticks. It can be held in place with a generous amount of hot glue on each stick. You want to make sure that the glue goes right to the edges and all over each of the sticks. Once the ribbons are attached, to make the ends of the ribbons look a little better, I'm going to fold it in half and then trim each piece at an angle. That'll make a nice little finish to the ends. Now that my flexible armrest is put together, I want to finish it off with a little stencil. The stencil is easy to keep in place with a few pieces of painter's tape. I'm going to use some chocolate brown paint that goes with the ribbon to stencil this onto my tray. The less paint you use, the crisper the lines of your stencil will be. This flexible armrest is so handy and can be used in a couple of different ways. I hope this has inspired you to make one yourself. Thank you so much for watching Home Talk, and I'll see you next time.